We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
John. John was reading an SMPTE. Let me say SMPTE.
Yeah.
SMPTE, which is whatever there it is. SMPTE presentation on cinema audio standards by Brian Vessa, the executive director of digital audio mastering at Sony Pictures. It's in it. Brian says that the surround should be calibrated to 82 dB and the subwoofer to 91 dB. Is this right? Should John recalibrate his speakers to these levels? Are you showing the slide?
I'm showing the slide.
So if you read the slide, it says after that you have done the proper setup, you basically goose the sides, surrounds, and the subs up a little bit. Isn't that what it's saying?
Yeah, well, sort of. I mean,
Performed
that would...
after electroacoustic calibration is complete with the same microphone setup, wideband pink nose, again injected the speaker system at reference level, one speaker at a time, and then they goose this thing up. That's what it sounds like to me.
So the interesting thing is that reference level in the cinema sound system is negative 20 dB full scale.
So that's what, 85
dB for the speakers, theoretically 95 dB for the subwoofer.
Right.
So if you're looking at that subwoofer figure, because later on in the presentation, I don't have the slide for that, but later on in the presentation, they're like, the subwoofer should be able to exceed 110 dB. Ideally, it should be able to hit 115, but it should be able to exceed 110. So they're saying if you send the subwoofer a negative 20 dB full-scale signal, it should be able to hit at least 91 dB with that signal being sent to it, because then if you add 20 to that, you'll be at 111, which is greater than 110, right? So that's a bit of confusion there, because the signal is being referenced to dB full scale, and full scale for the subwoofer channel, the LFE, dedicated LFE subwoofer channel, is 10 decibels louder than any of the speakers. Now, for the surrounds, saying 82 instead of 85, well, they're expecting you have multiple surround speakers, because this is a cinema standard, not a home standard. Right. So, yeah.
So they're cutting it down a little bit.
They're cutting it down a little bit because they're expecting more than one speaker to be playing out of any of those positions. So all of this, John, is a cinema standard. When they're talking about a medium-sized room, they reference that, a medium-sized room, they're talking about a 200 to 500 seat room. That is not a medium-sized room in a house. That is a medium-sized room in an auditorium.
It's a medium-sized room in Chris's house.
Well, yeah.
McMansion Chris. That's his bathroom.
So all of this, you must realize, is for the cinema. Yeah, for full-size cinema, not for house settings. So you wouldn't want to go for this. You wouldn't want to set your surround speaker to 82, your subwoofer to 91, your front speakers to 85. The test tones that are built into your AV receiver are meant to measure at 75 dB, all of them. That's what they're meant to do. So this is a separate thing.
Yeah, so McMansion Chris does have a medium-sized room for his coats, and he has 200 seats in there, and he puts a coat on every seat rather than having hangers, because he feels like keeps the lines better.
Yep. Man,
Can you imagine?
Chris's place is just getting bigger and bigger in our imagination.
Can you imagine
Every
that?
time.
A 200 coat. What is in this room? My coats. Why are there all these seats? For the coats. Can we sit in the seats? No, that's not for you. I can just say he's like Batman. He's gonna be Batman by the end of this. All right. There's also discussion. We're back to our original question by I forgot who's even asking this. John. There we go. There's also a discussion about the X curve and applying different high frequency EQ depending on the size of the room. With very large rooms, larger than 5,300 cubic feet. Using the X curve. I feel like maybe he didn't get that number right, but anyways.
Well, that was a different presentation. It wasn't this one. It was a separate one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Using the X curve, medium-sized rooms, 23 to 5,300 cubic feet, being flat up to 2 kilohertz, then rolling off at a rate of 1.5 dB per octave, and near-field speakers being flat. So does that mean we should EQ flat if we have a room smaller than 2,300 cubic feet?
Now, if you're going by the Brian Vessa discussion, you're EQing flat in anything that we would consider a home theater. He did have this other presentation that was getting into a little bit of this X-curve stuff. Now, the X-curve is there because if you were 2/3 of the way into a 500-seat auditorium and you measured everything perfectly flat, you would need crazy, crazy output from the tweeters of your speakers. And really the problem isn't that flat response would even sound that bad. The problem is that they would just start to distort horribly. They do. That's just what happens. So instead of that, they have this gradual roll off in the high frequencies because you're talking about long distances, big cubic footage, and then a whole bunch of people sitting in there absorbing high frequencies too. So they just roll off that high frequencies in a full-size cinema, essentially to avoid distortion. That's mostly what's going on. Again, it's cinema versus home. In the home, on home releases, on Blu-rays, Ultra HD Blu-rays and that, most of the time now, they are remastering that sound for the home mix. They aren't giving you the exact same mix that they sent out to the theater. They're remastering it for home as well. So your AV receiver, all of your channels should measure 75 dB on your C-weighted SPL meter when you're sitting in your seat. And the EQ, if you want just flat-out accurate sound, should essentially be flat. You in every cinema sense, are very much near field in anything we would call a home theater.
Right. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.